Shamea, let's be very clear. Let's call a spade a spade. You were scared. You were uncomfortable. You were nervous about talking to Porsha about your friendship or lack thereof. Because if you were really and honestly and truly okay with having that conversation, it wouldn't have took for Angela to light the match and Kelly to throw it in the fire. It wouldn't have had to be that way. What's up, everybody? Welcome and welcome back to the channel. I'm Tammy. This is Tammy Talks. We are here to talk the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 10, Meditation and Mediation. If you guys are brand new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up the video. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Leave all your comments down below. We have a goal. We have a goal, 40,000 subs. So if you guys have been here all season and you have not yet subscribed, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Happy Mother's Day to everyone that celebrated with their mother, that thought about their mother, that was able to see their mother, that had to just call their mother. I hope you all had a very pleasant Sunday. My heart goes out to you if your mother is no longer here or there's a strained relationship. I hope you still had a good Sunday. All right. So let's get right into the episode, y'all. So we start off with Kelli. So Kelli is at her house with her daughters. She's making dinner. It's a house full of girls. It's a lot of attitudes and emotions, right? So her oldest daughter, Chloe, is stressed about her grades. She was like, because you know how my dad is. So we get a little more insight into Chloe's father. So Chloe's father is an active father. The way that Kelli was making it seem was her ex-husband was solely taking care of Chloe. So why was the conversation even brought up that your ex-husband had not adopted Chloe when you were co-parenting with her father? That am I missing something? That didn't make sense, Kelli. But whatever. So Kelli said that her and Chloe's father are like siblings now. They're best friends. They have a great co-parenting relationship. So again, what is the okay? Whatever. So we find out that Kelli was awarded the house and she is now ready to move into a bigger space because right now with her and four girls, it feels like a big sorority house and the townhouse was just a temporary fix. Now we know that the average townhouse has what, 3 bedrooms? Maybe 4 if you're lucky. So there is still some overlap with this stuff. Kelli made sure to let us know that their previous house was 7,000 square feet. You ain't there no more. You in the townhouse. So time to get the house sold, and she wants to find a new space for her and her girls. So we pan over to Shamea. Shamea's meeting up with Ralph. And the way that I booed the screen, because Shamea, what are you doing? Once again, you are out here proving why everybody calls you Portia's lapdog. There is literally no reason for you to be sitting down with Ralph. No reason whatsoever. No reason, but okay, Shamia. So Ralph wants to do a podcast that is Family Feud meets Battle of the Sexes. That sounds stupid. That's stupid. You too grown for that, Ralph. You're too grown for that, but whatever. So Shamia brings up Drew, and Ralph was like, look, I proposed after knowing her for 3 months. We were married at 5 months. She was pregnant at 8 months, and I really didn't get a chance to know her, but I don't like who she's become. I'm sure she don't like who you've become either, Ralph. I'm sure your representative has been all up and through too, but whatever. So then Porsha shows up, and I'm like, what the fuck? So Porsha thought she was just meeting up with Shamea. Let her tell it. She kind of threw, if not, she threw Shamea under the bus in the confessional. Shamea said that she invited Porsha as a witness to the conversation, so it won't be he say versus she say when it comes to Ralph. Y'all are filming, Shamea. So there's going to be the proof, the video proof. You invited Porsha because you wanted to be Porsha's lapdog and be messy to get back at Drew because Porsha has a problem that Drew is filming or Drew is working with Dennis because that is Porsha's storyline. And some of y'all were in the comments, the Porsha stands, um, talking about, well, nobody has the storyline. It's still entertaining, isn't it? No, Portia's ass has nothing going on. Porsha is not entertaining this season. She's not. She's not because she's harping on an issue that is not an issue. She's dragging this out because she can't talk about her husband and she can't film in her house. So what's she gonna do? She's gonna make a big deal about Drew working with Dennis while lying about saying that Drew was trying to sleep with Dennis when the text messages prove that Portia's a fucking liar. But okay. So Porsha lets us know that Go Naked has severed ties with Drew. I said, damn, it wasn't that deep, Porsha? I guess. So Porsha then reads a text from Dennis about Drew, and she kind of twists it and says that Dennis is saying that Drew wanted to sleep with him in lieu of paying for, I guess, producing her album. And I'm like, whatever. Again, Portia, find a storyline. Find something else to talk about that doesn't involve Drew. Anything else that doesn't involve Drew. You got these sheets that we see at the end of the episode. We couldn't see you go and decide on colors. I guess. So Dennis, so Ralph is like, what? So Drew is out here in the streets like that? And Portia is like, it's rumors. Is every rumor about you true? And Ralph was like, well, no. Portia was like, so the rumors about Drew are probably not true as well. You brought it up though, Portia. So basically, Portia just told on herself and said, I'm lying. So Ralph said that he filed first. If I'm not mistaken, weren't both of y'all speeding down the freeway trying to get there? And Drew filed first by like a minute or two. Ralph is claiming that he filed for divorce because Drew cheated on him with Ty. Yes, Ty Young, the former WNBA player that was dating Mimi and then I guess is now with Ming Lee while being on Basketball Wives. That time. So Ralph is lying and saying he did not cheat on Drew. Who were you in Tampa with? We didn't forget. We didn't forget. So Shamea brings up Angela. And Portia said, well, Angela is holding you accountable, not for what I said, but for, allowing or for what you allow to be said around you and not kind of checking that in. And I'm like, see, Shamea, you're doing all of this backpedaling and bending over backwards for Portia, and she basically just took Angela's side in this situation. She didn't even have your back and be like, yeah, Angela was bogus for that. No, no. She didn't think to do that either. So Shamea says in her confessional that her defending Portia is causing animosity with the other ladies, and she hates that. Well, how about you stop being Portia's mouthpiece? If the ladies have an issue with Portia, let them have an issue with Portia. You don't have to be Captain Save-A-Ho with her all the time, and then you get mad when people say you play lapdog. Shamea. So we go over to Angela. So Angela is letting us know she is currently $2 million in debt because she has those those five properties that she wants to sell, and they're not moving at the prices she has them listed for. So Kelli, who needs a new home, comes over and Kelli's looking at one of the houses and she's shading it. And I'm like, imagine shading a house when you live in a townhouse, Kelli. Just say the house is not for you, but like, why are you shading it? I mean, the house was not fully ready, Angela. Now you can't talk about you got renderings of the pool if you don't have the pool full of water, but still, like, oh, Kelli. And Kelli was talking loud all episode. Kelli was so loud in that house, it was damn near an echo. So they sit down, they have a conversation about these rumors because remember, Kelli was the one yelling out, what about that baby? What about that baby? Real loud last episode. And Angela said, look, I was talking to Wendy Williams at a party. The person that, or the guy that I was referring to that had a baby on me was my oldest daughter's father. It's not Charles, but Wendy thought that I was talking about Charles. And so because of that, she ran with that rumor and it went everywhere and it's just not the truth. Now, I mean, there are people that when Angela said that on social media a couple of weeks ago, y'all said Angela was lying and just trying to save face. This was filmed a couple of months ago. So I would love to see like y'all response to that. I don't have an opinion on it personally. If she said it wasn't about Charles, it wasn't about Charles. But y'all believe Wendy Williams over Angela? Because I mean, truth be like, let's be real. Angela doesn't seem to be lying about anything involving her. She's been very, from what we can see, very transparent about everything that was brought to her on the show. So I don't know. So, but Wendy Williams misinterpreted it and ran with the rumor. So that's it. But Angela does admit that Charles has cheated on her. There has been infidelity, and at that time when it happened, they did take a break. So Angela tells Kelli that Shamea says she has some issues with Porsha. And I said, oh, y'all about to get some shit going, ain't y'all? Let's do it. So, according to Angela, Shamea feels upset about Porsha not going to her wedding. Now, look, do I think that Shamea feels a way about Porsha not going to her wedding? Absolutely. Do I think that Porsha has apologized or they've had a conversation about it? Maybe loosely. But do I think that Shamea has accepted it and moved on? No. Because why would you still be bringing it up? Why would you still be bringing it up? So Kelli then claims, well, Britt, my bestie, knows not to talk about my business or talk about me behind my back. She gonna talk about you in your face in a couple episodes. So you might want to sit this out. You have only known this girl for what, a year or two? That is not your best friend. Y'all gonna stop calling everybody and they mama your best friend. The way I cringe whenever people mention having like 5 or 6 best friends. Everybody ain't your best friend. Whew, I know some people that everybody is a best. It's my bestie, my bestie, my bestie. It's not your bestie. It's not. So Angela said, look, Shamea doesn't want to just be known as Porsha's sidekick, well then stop acting like it. Stop acting like it. You act like Porsha's sidekick, so that's why people call you that. We panned over to Britt, and she's talking about her mom getting ready to move in soon. And she's like, that's going to be very difficult because both me and Michael, we walk around naked. We don't care. We don't care. Britt then tells her husband that Angela said she had miles on her mouth. He looked offended. He looked offended. Brett feels that Angela doesn't take accountability. Shut the fuck up, Brett. You don't take accountability. You are still not taking accountability for the threat that you posed. You're still not taking accountability for that. You didn't take accountability for the way you japped out at Angela at the peace brunch. And I'm sure you're not going to take accountability for whatever causes the rift between you and Kelli. So shut the fuck up with that bullshit. I can't stand a person that don't know how to look inward at themselves. Look inward, Britt. You are the problem. It's not the other females that end up having an issue with you. It's you. You're the issue. So Mike is then like, I have a meeting with Sherry. I said, her sister? So he's going to meet with her sister because we know that her sister feels that Angela has kicked everybody to the side for Mike. I think that's a terrible idea. I think the three of them should sit down, but by no means do I think, and this is just my opinion, do I think that Mike should be sitting down with Cher to talk about their issues without Britt being present. But maybe it goes well. I don't know. To me, it does seem like, I don't know if it seems like he's trying to isolate Angela or if Angela is trying to like really just isolate herself from her family. So we pan back over to Angela. So she invites Porsha over to play tennis at one of her rental properties. She says she is not going to invite a woman that says she will fuck her husband into her house. I said, yeah. Yeah. So Portia said, look, I liked Angela when I first met her. Maybe I can kind of form a friendship with her and then she won't need Drew. You being this threatened and bothered by Drew is so fucking annoying, Portia, because I promise you it's not that deep. It's not that deep. Considering that you spend all your time talking about Drew and Drew don't even be mentioning you in confessionals. Drew don't be mentioning you in scenes. Oh my God. Oh my God. So in her confessional, we find out that, like a lot of people suspected, Angela's daughter did marry a woman. Angela said that she likes the girl. She doesn't have an issue with that. Her daughter did that or didn't want to tell her as like an act of rebellion, yada, yada, yada. She then said that she wants her daughter to know that she is in her corner and she has her back. So I don't think it's an issue of Angela not being supportive of her daughter being part of the alphabet crew. So I don't know why her daughter didn't tell her. I mean, Angela swore her and her daughter were best friends, but it's not giving that. it's it's not giving that like at all. Okay. So after playing tennis, a cute little scene, they sit down to talk to the side. Portia tells Angela about her Pampered by Porsche event that's going to be coming up. They're going to be getting massages and all that type of stuff. And she's going to talk about her sheets, okay? So Portia then tells Angela that, Drew was trying to sleep with Dennis and he just want his money. And I told Ralph because Portia felt that she needed to make up a rumor to go tell Ralph to get back at Drew because Dennis filmed with Drew and she didn't want that to happen. Whatever. So Angela clarifies, Drew did not say that she would pay for PJ's college. Drew said that the money that, Dennis earns could contribute to Pilar's college fund. And Portia was like, that's not what Shamea said happened. And Angela was like, that's how I remember it. We get a flashback, and it was Drew saying, with the money from this, I'm helping to pay, PJ's college fund. It was not on some, well, I'm gonna make all this money and I'm gonna go write the check. That's not what she did. That's not what she did. She said it facetiously. She said it as a joke. It wasn't even that big of a deal. But Shamea, you being the lapdog that you don't want to be, you're not a lapdog. You went and played Run Tell That, and you told Portia that unnecessarily while twisting the story. One, is on film, and two, I guess you didn't think that Angela would actually say what happened, but that was kind of unnecessary. You're adding fuel to the fire for no reason. So Portia look now. So now Portia has this in her mind, like, why is Shamea lying to me? I guess. So then Angela was like, well, Shamea kind of has an issue with you guys' friendship. She mentioned that there was a time where like you didn't want her in the group, and Portia was like, "What group? That's not what happened. I had her listed on as a name on my dream cast list, but I also told her to be realistic. Her husband doesn't want to film, and we barely see him." We do not see him. Her husband doesn't want to film, and so that's going to be a little difficult because we did used to see the husbands super, super heavy. We did. We always saw Greg and Peter and Apollo. We did used to see the husbands a lot, and Todd. We don't anymore. One, because Charles is a wild card. They probably don't know what he's gonna say, and Gerald doesn't want to film. So Angela then goes on to say, well, Shamea feels that this is a bit of a lopsided friendship, and that she thinks that Shamea is afraid to talk to Portia about this because she doesn't want to be looked at as Portia's lapdog. The way Portia immediately started crying, I said, oh girl, uh-oh. I was like, it was immediate tears to the point that Portia left. Portia got up and hightailed her ass out of that tennis court and left. I said, damn, it was okay. Maybe Portia was having a bad day, but yikes. Panned over to Drew. Drew said that since court, her and Ralph, they're not talking. They are not in communication. They are not allowed to talk to the kids about the divorce because of the court order. I just kind of feel like I'm not a child of divorce, but I just kind of feel like at that age that those kids are, they're not dumb. Right? Like daddy's always in the basement. Mommy and daddy don't talk. We don't do the same type of things that we typically used to do. Them kids know something is going on, but I guess. So we then see Drew take a phone call with Dr. Ken, used to be their marital counselor, and now he is her life coach. She lets him know that she doesn't really tell him everything that's going on, but she's gotten to a point now where she is overwhelmed. Overwhelmed, and now she wants to, she needs to get this all out. So she talks about how she met up with Angela and Kelli, and we see the flashback, and they're telling Drew how Porsha and Shamea met up with Ralph. And I was like, yeah, because it was shitty and it was unnecessary to do. Again, Shamea, you inserted yourself into Porsha's issues with Drew, and for what? And for what? So Drew feels like music was her safe place, and now that Dennis is saying that she wanted to sleep with him in lieu of paying for, his services, makes her feel away because she thought that they were friends. She thought they were better than this when a lot like, and she doesn't realize that this is all stemming from Portia's ass lying. And if Dennis did say that, we know that the big bulk of it is coming from Porsha getting in Dennis's ear. So we panned over to the Porsha Pampered by Porsha event. Okay. So Porsha has them, they all have on different outfits, robes, and stuff like that. And everybody has a different color. And when they sit down, they eat and they're getting pictures taken. And then Porsha all of a sudden takes her sheets and said, boom, put this up in here. So y'all just did a free photo shoot to be ambassadors for her. And Drew clocks it and was like, are we getting paid for this? Is this content for our Instagram? Or is this for her stuff? Because my Go Naked contract was terminated and I did not get a Pampered by Porsha contract in return. No, she used y'all asses for a free photo shoot. So Kelli's talking to Shamia, and she's like, I heard some disturbing news. Drew called you a lapdog. So she also tells Shamia that Angela said that Porsha was in tears the last time they talked. And Shamia was like, in tears about what? Well, Shamia, um, apparently Angela told Porsha that you always run and tell certain sides of the story and not the whole story. Shamia is shocked and appalled. Her flabber is gasted that Porsha had a conversation like that and didn't even think to tell her. Well, at the beginning of this scene, we saw that Porsha does have an issue with the conversation. And Porsha said, look, I'm not in the headspace. I don't want to talk about this right at this event, but we gonna talk about it, okay? So you just gotta give her a chance. Give her a chance, Shamia. Y'all gonna talk. So everyone's laying down and relaxing, and they are supposed to be doing like a therapy, not therapy, but like a little yoga meditation situation. So they're all supposed to lean back. Lauren is leading it, and they're supposed to lean back and relax. And everybody leans back and relaxes, and it's cool. We're clearing our mind. What is it? Relax, relate, release. We're doing all the things we knew to. But Shamia is sitting her ass straight up, looking down at Porsha. And Lauren, after they're done, said to think, or while they're doing it, actually said to think back to a moment when you felt offense, and then see the offender. Shamia looks right in Portia's direction, and I hollered. Could be editing, but that shit took me out. So Kelli jumps up and goes and sits next to Shamia. And Shamia was like, well, I'm not meditating because I'm not comfortable. I'm not at peace, especially being next to the person that is not bringing me peace. Now, Porsha is looking down at them, kind of shushing them. Now, Porsha feels a way about Shamia already. Shamia feels a way about Porsha. So now it's time for things to come to a head. And Shamia is like, maybe the peace is choking her. I said, oh, girl, not choking. choking her. So Kelli tells Porsha that everything that she told Angela, Angela told Porsha. I said, okay. So it's time for the sister circle. So it starts off with Angela that said, Porsha, I appreciate you for apologizing to me. Porsha said, I receive it, okay? It is possible to have a future friendship. I said, great. This is going good. This is going good. Okay. So then Kelli was like, I'm going to take it straight to hell. I admire Porsha and Shamea's friendship, and I want y'all asses to have a conversation because y'all need to have a conversation because we all feel like Shamea can't shine who she is because Porsha doesn't allow her to be her best self. I said, Kelli, what the fuck? Why would you do that? Oh my God. I get that Kelli did this for TV, but Kelli, oh my God. So then Angela is like, well, Shamea is the best friend, or actually, Porsha then said, well, according to Angela, Shamea is the best friend and I'm the bad friend. And Shamea is like, I haven't said anything because I don't talk about my friends behind, or she said, I don't talk about my friends behind my back, and I don't let people talk about my friends behind their back. Porsha said, well, it was brought up about your wedding and then how I didn't want you on the show. Shamea said, I've told you all this already. Anything that I've said to these girls about you, I've said to you. And that's the thing. That's the thing. If it's one thing I do not like when people say that, right? The whole notion of anything I have said about you, anything I've said about you, I've said to you does not make it better because you are still talking shit about me. You're still talking shit about me. And that's the part that I think is fugazi, Shamia. Because look, you can't on one hand, in one moment, in 1 second, in one breath, be Portia's lapdog and you want to fight tooth and nail and avenge her name, but then turn around and be like, yeah, but I mean, she ain't really that good of a friend to me. You can't do that. And then when Porsha feels the way about that, then say, well, I already said all this to you. So if you said it to me, don't say the shit about me to anybody else. That whole whatever I said about you, I've said to you, to me, that is complete and utter bullshit. It is. So Shamia said, look, I am not an angel. I'm not saying I'm an angel, but if somebody comes to me with shit about Porsha, I shut it down, but that's not reciprocated. And so Porsha is like, what are you talking about? And so Shamia is like, why would you even think to question what Angela said? So from Shamia's side, if Angela would have come to her with that bullshit, she wouldn't have believed it. She would have shut it down. She would have went right to Porsha and talked about it. Porsha didn't do the same. Porsha didn't give Shamia the benefit of the doubt, and Shamia feels a way about that. Angela said, well, look, Shamia, you are afraid to have this conversation with Porsha, and there are things that have bothered you for a while. Porsha said, look, I didn't go to Shamia's wedding in Kenya because we weren't speaking a month or two before that. And because we weren't speaking before that, it wasn't meant to be, but I went to your wedding here and I was in your wedding here and it's fine. Now, Porsha, that is not what you said initially as to the reason why you did not go to Shamia's wedding. That's not the story that you have had all these years up until now. So now you done got caught in some bullshit. So Shamea said, I didn't know that we had an issue before my wedding. That's news to me. Shamea gets emotional and said that she has never allowed anybody to speak down on their friendship. But that is not reciprocated. Cynthia said that she hates when the circle breaks up a friendship because these women have been friends since they were kids. Were they friends though? That's the thing. I think sometimes we get into a mode where we feel that the length of time that we've known somebody equates to being friends with them. Just because I've been friends with somebody from kindergarten up through high school doesn't mean that we're meant to be friends for life. And it could just be that at this moment in time, Porsha and Shamea, their friendship has ran its course. It happens to everybody. Everybody has a friend that they were cool with, and the friendship just fizzles out. It doesn't mean that either one of y'all are horrific people or bad friends, but the friendship just fizzles out. Shamea then said that, look, I have shown grace. I've shown grace. And Porsha said, thank you for your grace. Shamea says, see, that that's, that's sarcastic. Porsha said, it's fine. I'm a piece of shit. It's cool. I'm a piece of shit. I'm the bad friend. Whatever. Uh, as long as you know, Porsha. As long as you know. So next week they're gonna have, or they're going to attempt to have a sit down to talk about this. But yikes. I didn't think that the dissolution of their friendship was gonna start this early, but I guess it's not early in the season for real, for real. But let me know what you guys thought about this. Who do you think is wrong in this situation? Do you think that Porsha should have went straight to Shamea with the conversation that she had with Angela? Do you think that Shamea should have went and put Porsha aside and hashed it out right away? What we can agree on is it does seem at the end of the day, Shamea, you are not over the fact that Porsha did not go to your wedding. You do feel a way about Porsha. You clearly feel a way about not being on the show earlier, and you think it falls on Porsha's hands. Listen, because in real time, today, as of May 11th, 2025, they are not friends. They're on the outs right now. So things have not resolved between the two of them. Let me know what you guys thought about this. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.